Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. Let's break down the Champions League final between Manchester City and Inter Milan. So this is going to be a tactical breakdown of a few different things that I found interesting, mostly the formations of the two teams, what they were doing offensively and defensively, and a few player roles that I found fascinating and that deserve a mention. So I did a tactical breakdown on the semifinal between Man City and Real Madrid and broke down how poor Real Madrid were defensively. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. Since then, I've made 3 more breakdown videos, but I got hit with copyright infringement on YouTube and was not able to post them. So if you've been wondering where I've been this whole time, I've been making content that essentially cannot be shown or released, which sucks. So hopefully I've done enough this time to sort of add little circles and arrows and hexagons and different things in slow-mo to be able to make sure this video gets through, because I do think I'm adding some value here to what any football fan who watched this game might think. I am a coach, coach all ages of youth, from little kids all the way up to 18-year-olds, and really, really fun to go through tactics as a team can evolve and get better at them. So just looking here, these are the two formations as you were shown them on television, right? Man City were in a 4-2-3-1. This is what you were shown at the start of the game. And Inter Milan are in a 3-5-2. These are malleable formations. They can change. And Man City, the way they play, obviously, that is something that they do a lot. So one of the key things that happened in this game, and we'll get to it in greater detail, is John Stones would move into the midfield. Rodri would move down into the base of it. Gundogan would sort of float. He and De Bruyne would sometimes switch positions. Sometimes Gundogan would go up higher. Sometimes De Bruyne would come out to the side a little bit. But overall, Grealish and Bernardo would step up. And then what you would end up with was a 3-4-3. Inter Milan, what they would do is drop way deep. They would have their wingbacks super high. Brozovic would be dropped in. And basically, they would try and stretch the field out as much as possible and stay that way. Man City, the way they would operate was more in tight groups, moving closer to the ball, keeping possession, interchanging positions. Inter Milan tried to keep the field very stretched out and make it so that they could outnumber City in very key areas, especially in transitions, on quick breaks. That was the idea that Inter Milan had. So moving on to the actual footage, which can give you a clear picture. Let's take a look at Man City's 3-4-3 in possession. Like I said, this was a 4-2-3-1 defensively, but when Man City had the ball, it would turn into a 3-4-3. Why? Because Stones, who was listed as the right back, like I said, when started the game, they'd say Stones is playing right back. Well, Stones would go into the midfield every single time Man City had the ball. I will explain why it was a 4-2-3-1 defensively in a couple minutes here. But you can see John Stones way out in the midfield. Akanji is playing at the right back. That's where he gets the ball right there. And you can see this diamond that I was just talking about. Stones, Gundogan, De Bruyne, and Rodri. And like I said, De Bruyne and Gundogan would sort of alternate who would be the 10 and who would be one of the 8s. And De Bruyne would also come way out wide, touchline, to get the ball. Now, he did this a bunch of times in the first 30 minutes, and then he was subbed off with an injury. There you go, John Stones hanging out on that right side, weak side of midfield. The reason why this is important is because, well, this is Inter Milan's midfield and forward line, right? Lautaro Martinez, Edin Dzeko. This is Barella, Dumfries, Brozovic, Çalhanoğlu. So Barella, Çalhanoğlu, and Brozovic. Sorry, Dumfries here. Those are the 3 midfielders. And they're not able to mark John Stones. This is the reason why Man City did this, is to create a mismatch in the midfield. If you had 4 versus 3, you have an advantage. This is the ball that Man City were looking for. So you're going to see here, it doesn't work this time, but you get a clear understanding for what they were trying to do. Here's the way it turns into a back 3 with the goalkeeper sort of acting as a 4th, right? Ball goes long, Inter Milan win that one. And that was sort of Man City's plan. Now, Inter Milan's plan. on the ball. Here is what they were doing. 3-5-2 in possession. Pretty simple. When you're doing a 3-5-2, your wingbacks, in this case Dumfries, and I'm going to shift myself over here to the left so that you can see Dumfries in this shot. Dumfries and DiMarco. DiMarco's way up in the top right of your screen. These guys are the ones who really stretch the field. Now, the reason why they are so key that they stay wide is because Man City have 6 players who are pretty much equidistant from each other, right? I'd say the distance between these two is probably similar to these two, right? They've formed a nice little hexagon essentially in the midfield, and they're staying compact to not be played through. So what do you do if you're in a 3-5-2 against this? You go wide, and you go side to make them move and then create an opening. As you can see, DiMarco's way up high. Dumfries is now out of your screen. As they shift the ball from one side to the next in their back line, then there's a ball out wide that you can find Barella. You just saw Dumfries way out here. He's got to keep Nathan Ake back. This creates space over here. John Stones now has to pay attention to 2 players. And that is not what Man City ideally want. So what does he do? He just drops in to get himself in a good position. Çalhanoğlu receives it, and DiMarco wide open on the other side. And now Dumfries is adding himself basically as a forward. This is the plan in a 3-5-2. City's defensive shape is a 4-2-3-1. Conversations with people, they said, no, City played a 3-4-3. Yes, they did on the ball, but off the ball, this is a 4-2-3-1. Back 4, John Stones as right back. Double pivot right here with Gundogan and Rodri. Bernardo Silva is the right midfielder. Grealish is the left. De Bruyne is the 10. And then Haaland would be up front. I know that they don't quite have that shape just yet, but that is the shape of Man City off the ball, right? As they press, you see here Rodri stepping up and Gundogan stays. Again, double pivot action, which is where one stays, one goes in order to make sure that the other team doesn't get the ball, can't turn and run through your midfield. So they go and they press with 5. Now, John Stones. I've mentioned it already, his role was so well executed. First of all, the work that Man City do in terms of interchanging positions and switching people and moving around is awesome. And Bernardo Silva is a great player for this. Their whole entire team is built so well to understand these situations. So Bernardo Silva is asking for the ball. John Stones is making a movement up the right-hand side. Just watch Bernardo Silva get furious that he doesn't get the ball. I love it. I love his fire. I love his determination. Anyway, these arrows right here, this is key because I'm highlighting something that Erling Haaland didn't do that John Stones did. And you'll see the difference here in a second. Grealish gets this ball, and when you're playing against a 3-5-2, there's 3 center backs. There is not a left or right back. The wing backs are going to be higher. They're more like midfielders. So there is space in those wide channels by the corners. One of the most destructive balls you can play against a back 3, if it's not cut off, is one down the line for a forward to run out into the channel to get to, make that diagonal, and it forces a center back to leave, forces them to get out of the middle. Because of that, the others have to shift. Someone has to take their place. If the positional rotation, if the cover is not, and the balance is not clean and quick, a team like Man City will rip you apart. Erling Haaland had a tough day. I think he could have been more mobile. And in this scenario, and a few like it, he could have made these runs. He didn't. Like I said, John Stones will, and I'll show you how. So there's John Stones making a run inside, checking for a ball. By doing this, he now makes it so that DiMarco is not paying attention to him. DiMarco can say, Çalhanoğlu, you take him. Now DiMarco can go and press Bernardo Silva, who has dropped way deep. What does John Stones do? Makes the run in behind. Now he doesn't get it initially, right? But he stays out there, and eventually the ball comes to him. He crosses the ball in. Grealish gets it. They had a chance. Nothing really happened from it. Again, possession will build out. Nathan Ake has the ball. Normally, what you would see is a right back come and stand out here, sort of by where it says nothing beats being here, or nothing beats being there, these sort of Expedia signs. You'd see him sort of way out there stretching the field. That's not what he does. Instead, he goes actually in an area that is higher up the pitch and more inside. Maybe easier to see and mark, but he creates a mismatch in the center of the park. And once again, here's your diamond. Boom, 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 boom. There's your back three. It's perfect shape. Ball goes out to Grealish. Again, John Stones wide open on the side. Now, this is something that Inter Milan were doing very well. I think you may say, well, if Stones was open out on that side the whole time, why on earth were they not using him? Why on earth were they not finding him this much? Because Inter Milan were doing a very good job of doubling up and making sure that nothing went through the midfield and across, because that's the most dangerous thing. But Ederson sees that Stones is open and can play him. Now, of course, this long ball, Inter Milan can track it. They can stop him from going anywhere. But Stones is a very good technical player. And we'll get into that in just a second a little bit more. Now, I've got this laser line here to kind of show, once again, the three, and this is the diamond in midfield. This is just kind of to illustrate it once again, because it was consistent. This is what they did the whole entire time. And when you see this frequently, yeah, I think it's fascinating to watch the way that a team can go from a defensive formation to an attacking formation and how they utilize one specific player. Now, watch John Stones again here. Realizes that by standing out here, he's not going to get the ball because Lautaro can basically cover him. Çalhanoğlu is able to sort of fuse this out. Where is their space? Closer to the referee. Receives a ball. Again, this is the second time he's received a ball in his chest with some kind of pressure, and he deals with it fantastically well. Again, moves around. This is your right back playing like left midfield now. Stones was everywhere, and he is going to continue to be everywhere in this play. Watch this. I talked about the run that Erling Haaland was not making into the channel. I think Erling Haaland should have made this run already. If Erling Haaland makes this run, Acerbi has to follow him, and now Stones can actually make a run central, or Grealish can as well. But Erling Haaland was not making these movements. Now, okay, I'm not going to say he didn't do his job. Pep may have asked him, stay central, allow John Stones to make this move. But I think this is a very clear way that you can get behind a defense like this. This is the second time he's made this kind of a run, and both times he's received the ball. So it's not just the positional things. It's not just the movement from John Stones. It's also the ability on the ball. He is such a technically quality player. He's not just a defender that is good at passing the ball out of the back and decent with his feet, as he was kind of always talked about. This is a dude who looks like a proper midfielder at this point. Check this out. I mean, he was roasting Inter players. And when you have a guy who can come out of the back, draw three players to him, dribble through all of them, you're going to create a mismatch. If three guys are on one, other people have to be open. And John Stones was able to do this throughout the game. It was massively impressive. Here again, you're going to see him twist through a bunch of players. I have to point out, this is horrific 1v1 defending. You do not do this. Big lunge, no reaction. Dzeko. I mean, I know you're 36 or 37 and, this isn't your bag, but my goodness, got to be better than that. Stones gets into a situation where now there's four Inter players around him. And again, he's able to keep his cool and figure it out and get the ball out away from him. Now, shift over. Just after this is the same play. He gets up, and now he's straightening out his sock. And not satisfied with just holding a position. Again, Stones is going to make a move into a very delicate area, ask for basically a double split right here, and to turn and go. Ball splits four players, he turns, and then he's at the top of the box maneuvering around like Neymar. That was really impressive from Stones. I would say my man of the match for Man City was John Stones. Right next to him, Ruben Diaz, who had a flawless night, absolutely terrific night. So I think those two were the keys. I think Rodri was very good, maybe 8 out of 10, but I'd give Stones a 9, and maybe Diaz and Stones 9 out of 10. So, yeah, Stones was fantastic. His role was really cool. I think for all Liverpool fans out there, you're probably looking at this going like, maybe Trent can do that job. And maybe he can, because you need a high-quality technical player who can do that and someone who's willing to move and run off the ball. Also, we're going to be seeing a lot more of this around Europe in the next few years. I think this is going to be all the rage. Okay, the other rage, goalkeepers who can play with their feet. Ederson is in goal for Man City in this game, and in the first half, he had two bizarre mistakes. One really strange one where he just kicks the ball out of play, way far away from Nathan Ake. Another one where he played a ball not too poorly, but it was not right to Ruben Diaz and almost created a chance for Barella to score. Not many people talk about Andrea Onana, and this guy deserves some serious credit. There's something that goalkeepers need. 2 feet, right, left, right. Also the ability to shift, makes De Bruyne think he's going out to Darmian, goes the other way. You're going to see it again right here. Looks to shift, goes the other way. A goalkeeper that can do this makes forwards think twice about how they press. And they're just not as, they just don't quite get as excited when the goalkeeper gets the ball. If you've got a goalkeeper like David De Gea who's had 2 howlers with his feet, he gets the ball, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going for broke and running after the guy because he might screw up. Andrea Onana, the confidence in the balls of this guy with the ball at his feet is impressive, but also the intelligence. He's very good at picking out passes, and he had multiple defense-splitting passes against Man City. Let me show you those real quick. Ball goes out wide, comes back to him here. Acerbi makes a move inside here, and you need a goalkeeper who's not going to panic and mess this up because it's not a difficult pass. But you mess it up and you're conceding in the Champions League final. And so what he does is he sees this ball initially, but the split is not totally on. So what does he do? Pulls it back with a nice little bit of skill. Brozovic checks in to offer one other option and makes Man City freeze just that little bit. And instead the ball goes right there to Acerbi. And Onana's very good, like I showed you, shifting his hips and moving the eyes to make you think he's going one way, and then he goes another. Here he is going out to Brozovic. It comes back to him. 6 Man City players are in Inter Milan's half, okay? The other 4 are behind the halfway line. So Stones is actually playing in the back 4 right now. Andrea Onana is so good that one pass can beat all of them. And look at the quality of this ball. It's just absolutely terrific. And he's beaten the entire Man City midfield and their front line with one pass. It's a play that results in Lukaku getting a shot on target. So what's important to recognize here is just like Stones was a key for Man City in moving into a different position offensively to provide something, to provide different passing, to provide just an on-the-ball presence, Onana was doing that here, especially, in the second half. He was all out of his goal like crazy. You're going to see this multiple times where you see the center circle and not his own goal box. And you're also going to see Acerbi behind him a few times. That's where I drew that line right there. Here's the other thing. These strips are about 10 yards, right? So 10, 20, 30, 40. This is a 50-yard pass on the floor, about that, right into Lukaku. Here's Henrik Mkhitaryan. Watch the way this develops. Rodri, I don't think he was paying attention to Mkhitaryan because he doesn't think that this ball is actually going to beat the entire Man City midfield. Mkhitaryan goes off the shoulder of Rodri, and this is where Rodri's fatigue was starting to show. He ball watches, loses his man. Really nice little flick from Lukaku, but this is all started from Andrea Onana being able to distribute out of the back. Here's again. Acerbi goes behind him. You rarely see that. And similar to what Man City were setting up in the first half, where you'd have Ederson and Diaz next to each other building out. Well, look at this. It's the same thing. But Onana looks like a holding midfielder right now. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And in this one, he just went long. Here's the last little clip. This is great. Him just getting a touch off a throw-in. He's so dangerous. But, yeah, the stones that he has, his confidence it's impressive. All right, City take the lead. Pardon me. Let's do this. So, once Man City got a goal, you felt like it was their time. Right? If Inter Milan were to score first in this game, you would have really wondered how City were going to react because things were not going their way in this match. It was very difficult for them. I think they only had one stretch of possession in the first half where they had the ball for over a minute, only once or twice. In the second half, it was very similar. They did not have very many times where they were able to keep the ball for a long time. Inter did a very good job of muddying the waters a little bit, making it difficult, closing spaces down, closing down passing lanes. But Man City were also just a little bit off, right? So when they are able to connect possession and connect passes for over a minute, a lot of the time they find chances and a lot of the time they score goals. And that's what happened here. So we're going to pay attention to a couple players. Phil Foden for one. Watch his movement off the ball. This is a little bit different than what De Bruyne does. De Bruyne does move a lot, but he tends to walk around a little bit in attacking positions to be closer to where he can make defense-splitting passes. Foden really likes to drift a little bit, give little one-touch passes back, get the ball, play it backwards, dribble a little bit. Foden doesn't need to be as decisive when he gets the ball. Okay, so Bernardo Silva gets it here, and he dribbles inside, which takes DiMarco with him. Stones switches with him and goes out to the right, okay? Bernardo Silva is such a tricky player. He and Foden both in this play did a couple times. They each just wriggle their way out of pressure with multiple players around them. Stones has already done it once. He'll do it again. Foden's already done it once. He'll do it again. And now Foden is going to make a run in behind. Jack Grealish plays the ball. It's not a very good one. That is the first touch that Inter Milan have had since this stretch of possession started. Right there. That header. And they didn't win the second ball. Gundogan won it. Keeps it. Finds Foden. Again, Foden. Patience. Brings the ball out. Finds Akanji. Now, Inter Milan have a pretty good shape right here. They look actually really, really stable. But there's going to be a miscommunication here between Acerbi and DiMarco. DiMarco has to make a choice. Do I go out to Stones, or do I keep this close? Do I let the ball go out to John Stones, or do I start to close him down a little bit, let my defense take care of what's here? Acerbi does not close the space enough, and he also lets Bernardo Silva run off the back of him. Right here. This is the moment. You're not going to catch him offside because your back line is here. Acerbi has to drift with Bernardo Silva and keep him in front of him. Do not let the forward see your number. It's a good thing for defenders to remember. Don't let the forward see your number. He does. Goes in behind. Bernardo Silva, a little cutback. The second touch of this whole possession was this deflection. Rodri goes ahead and smacks it home. City have the lead. And at this point, you think to yourself, how are Inter going to react after conceding? I think Inter Milan did very well. The XG says that they had, I think, like a 2.07 XG, which is far better than Man City's, which I think was like 0.97. Basically, Inter Milan had the better chances in this game. At the end of it all, Inter Milan had the best chances to score goals. Why they didn't go a little more direct early on, I don't know. They had Dzeko on the field for the first 60 minutes. He was replaced by Lukaku. It's like a like-for-like substitution. You can be going long to these guys. They can hold up the ball. Lautaro Martinez is very good at hold-up play as well, as we'll see right here. Why they did not do this more often throughout the game, I'm not sure. Because the thing is that John Stones, being as high as he was, made it so that a long ball, a quick release up to players who can hold it up and bring others into the play, especially when you've got wingbacks like Dumfries and DiMarco who are going to run as soon as you get the ball forward. I just don't think that Inter Milan did enough of that until later in the game. And this is the kind of thing that puts teams under pressure. Balls into the box, one headers, and then this. Poor DiMarco. All right, it's a very good idea to head the ball like that. He just misses it, and then he heads it off Lukaku. Now, I don't know if this goes in because Diaz is right there. But that's really unlucky for Lukaku. It's really unlucky for DiMarco. And this was a major warning sign. There was another chance that Lautaro had a little bit earlier where a poor back pass from City. He seized on it, got in, and Ederson made the save. Things were starting to creak a little bit for Man City. And then Lukaku gets his big, big chance. This was really the defining moment of the match in the end. And as we got to the closing stages. And for me, this was a clear point where Man City, if this game had gone on another 10 or 15 minutes, they might have gotten scored on because they were starting to make defensive errors that were very simple. I showed you Rodri allowing Mkhitaryan to get off the back of him earlier because he was ball watching. You're going to see the exact same thing right here. 3-on-3. Man City have their 3 forwards or 3 defenders. Inter Milan have 3 players attacking. So good, you're stable, everything's fine. Inter Milan just keep the ball, try and be patient. Now, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But what if a 4th player comes in? So DiMarco joins. Now, in this situation right here, I think DeMarco, because he's all on his own already, he should really just kick himself out to the side here and just get this ball. But instead, he sort of just strolls through to see if he can take someone with him. And it's actually not too bad, because here Kyle Walker now has to pay attention to DeMarco. Gundogan, who previously was not part of this defensive play, is going to have to come in and join on Mkhitaryan, Bernardo Silva on Gosens, and Rodri on, I believe that's Brozovic. Ball goes out to Gosens, comes back. Now, this is the crucial part. Man City have their 4 defenders. Gundogan is here. As the ball goes from Mkhitaryan, he is going to move, and right there you see Gundogan pointing. Rodri, you can tell he's tired here. He is staring at the ball. He's not really in an athletic position, and he just completely loses Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan's going to get it, be 2v1 against Bernardo Silva here. Bernardo Silva can't do much about it. Gosens gets it, crosses it in. Now you're in a situation where you're just defending your box. The key to defending defending the midfield is you do not want to allow teams to get crosses in. Once they do, your defensive shape disappears. You have to protect your box and you have to protect your goal, and now you're just vulnerable. And my goodness, are they vulnerable. Lukaku by himself. I don't know how he doesn't score here, because all he has to do is head it anywhere but at Ederson, and he scores. Ederson does not need to move. It just hits him. And then Diaz. Goodness. I mean, let's look at that one more time. Diaz, very clever to turn his head and make sure that that goes out instead of in his own goal. And that was the defining piece. That was the best chance Inter Milan would have. And because they don't score, Manchester City win the Champions League. But it's more than that. It's the evolution. It's the consistent tweaking and the obsession with finding new ways to play and be efficient and win. And look, the Champions League has evaded them for years, a lot of which through bad luck. They fully deserved this. Inter Milan really, really showed everybody that they were a much better outfit than people would think. Also, on the tactical side, really, really interesting. I think the 3-5-2 has not been played very well by a lot of teams. I think Antonio Conte nailed it, and I really liked what Inzaghi did with his Inter side here. I think they played that very well. They were able to keep Man City from really being able to find the gaps that they were wanting to create. On the flip side, Man City going from 4-2-3-1 to 3-4-3. I love it. I think it's great. And that malleability is important, but you need someone like John Stones. And for Inter Milan as well, like I was just saying, with the individual rules, you need someone like Andrea Onana, someone who can actually pass balls out of the back, stretch the field out, force the other team to think long and hard about whether or not they want to press. So, thanks so much for stopping by. I really hope this video makes it. I've made a few that have been taken down for copyright reasons, so I really hope this one makes it, because I really hope that you enjoyed it and that there's value added to this game from my perspective. If you want to see the highlights, obviously you can go do that, and maybe look back if you've seen the game. If you have the game recorded, maybe go and look back and check out some of the things that I've pointed out here. But thanks for stopping by. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football with another tactical breakdown. We'll do more soon. Have a good one. Oh, yeah, and go Nuggets!